Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time. Yes, I know. So I was quite busy with work. I started a new role and onboarding and everything made me not have showed up in this channel for like I think 2 months. I'm sorry about that. In my last video, I talked about ISO 27001 clause 6, that's the risk assessment. And in this video, I'm going to continue from where I stopped. I don't want to just jump in to start talking about another topic when I still have topic I'm not done talking about. In this video, we are going to be talking about clause 7 and clause 8. So if you are new to my channel, my name is Oluchi Amadi and I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I'm a GRC analyst. I'm also a cybersecurity program manager. And in my channel here, I talk about GRC, I talk about program management and project management. And I also talk about my lifestyle, my 20s. Yeah, just stick around. You are going to be learning a whole lot about GRC. We are going to be learning clause 7 today. If this is my first video you are seeing in my channel, you should check the previous video where I have talked about ISO 27001 clause 6. I've talked about clause 5, clause 4, clause 3, clause 2, and clause 1. I'm going to be explaining everything you need to do in clause 7 and clause 8 in this video. So clause 7 talks about support. Talks about, we are talking about support. Clause 7.1 talks about resources. So when we are talking about resources, it definitely means that in this clause you have to establish all the necessary resources. You have to not just establish, you have to implement, you have to maintain, and also improve the resources that are needed for the information security management system. And when you have to first of all identify the resources that are needed, which some of the resources can be human resources, it can be financial resources, it can be, and that way it's also allocation of these resources when you identify them. And lastly, what you need to do is to document the resources, and the document they are going to be developing here is the document and resources allocation document. So let's start from identifying the human resources. You have to identify people that are needed for the information security management system to be put in place, and it can be IT security, it can be the compliance officer. They also have the technical resources, which you have to identify the technologies that are needed for the information security management system, like firewalls and VPNs and all that. Then financial resources, you have to check the budgets that are needed for the information security management system, and you have to allocate these resources based on what you find out in your risk assessment and also in your statement of applicability. That is for 7.1. Then 7.2 has to do with competence. When we talk about competence, we are talking about you have to ensure that everybody that will be involved in the information security management system are competent enough to carry out any tasks that are given to them. For example, if you have information security manager, this person must be good with must have knowledge of ISO 27001. The person must be good with risk management. The person must know how to respond to incidents. We are talking about IT support. If we have an IT support, this person must have a knowledge of network security. It must have a knowledge of how to protect endpoints and all that. So you must make sure that everybody that is involved with information security management has a knowledge and are competent enough to carry out that particular task. It might be based on their education, their training, or their experience. But the most important thing is that they must be competent enough to carry out that task. And we have 7.3, which 7.3 has to do with awareness. So here, the objective of 7.3 is that you have to make sure that all employees are aware of the information security policy. They must know their roles and responsibilities in information security management, and they must also know the importance of non-compliance to any of these policies during information security management or after that. And what you have to do to implement this awareness is that you have to first of all develop awareness plan, how you want to make them to be aware of it. You can decide to make them to be aware of the information security management, maybe quarterly or annually, or the way you want to make it to be. You must also plan your awareness content, the kind of thing that you want to let them know. Then also you have to also document your awareness activities. You have to track attendance, how many employees attended. If you are using a particular platform to train them, you have to make sure to also track how many people completed the training and all that. And at the end of the day, you're going to be developing a awareness record. This has to be all the records of all the employees, type of awareness training that you gave them and all that. Then 7.4 has to do with communication. So in this part, you have to make sure that everything, the processes, you have to identify the processes for internal and external communication, which it can be that communication might be through Slack channel or through email. So you have to determine what will be communicated, when this communication will be done, with whom should it be communicated, and how information will be communicated. So you have to make sure that you establish both internal and external communication processes. You can decide to use email, you can decide to use Slack, depending on what communication method your organization is using. And at the end of the day, you are going to be developing a communication plan document. Then 7.5 has to do with documented information. So this is like a general document where I used to call it document control plan. It's like a document that will have all the documents that you use in your information security management system. It also makes it easy for an auditor to be able to to access all the documents that you put. Instead of it to be sending it one after the other, I can just develop a document control plan that you just send to the auditor, and this document has to be stored very well because it has almost all the information, everything that you guys did in the information security management system. You guys are implementing ISO 27001. So these documents have to be also stored very well, just like I've said. And the document has to the document has to contain the plan. Sorry, this is my video. They did this part. The document has to contain the owner of the document. It has to contain the date. It has to contain the version of the document. It has to contain the location. It has to contain the author. It has to also contain the retention period. So these are the things that each document, the document control page has to have. Then that is all for clause 7. Don't worry if you are feeling like you just have to have a knowledge of all these things, because when you start working in a real world environment, so it will not be a new thing to you. At least you have known this is what needs to be done here, and this is what needs to be done there. And when you have a real world experience of it, you'll be able to understand it more. So let's move to clause 8. So clause 8 talks about clause 8 talks about operations, operational planning, and control. So here you have to plan, implement, and control the processes that are required to meet the information security management requirements, and also the actions that you establish in clauses, which clauses have to do with planning. So the steps that you need to follow for this clause 8 is, first of all, you have to identify the processes that are needed for all these things. So based on the risk assessment and statement of applicability that you have performed in clauses, you have to identify the key processes that are required for the operations control, things like access control, incident response, change management, and all that, based on your risk assessment and statement of applicability. Then you have to also define the criteria for each processes. For example, if during clause 6 you guys identify access control as a process that needs to be put in place, you have to put in place processes to be able to implement these access controls. So that is for clause 8.1. If it's for incident response, if during your risk assessment you guys developed an incident response plan, you guys have to include the criteria for incident response plan, then then you have to put in place documentation requirements, what needs to be documented, and also the escalation protocols. These things need to be documented. Then we have clause 8.2, which talks about information risk. Clause 8.2 talks about information risk assessment. So when it comes to information risk assessment, you have to schedule and plan regular risk assessments. You have to decide when risk assessment will be done, if it's annually or quarterly, to evaluate what you guys have done, the risk. So you have to develop the risk assessment results. That is after the risk assessment. So in clause 8.2, you have to develop the risk assessment results. That is after performing the risk assessment the risk assessment. So we also have clause 8.3, which talks about Clause 8.3 talks about risk as information security risk treatment. So you are done identifying this risk, you are done with risk assessment. The next thing is to treat the risk. Of course, you have to treat the risk. So here, what you need to do here is you have to also talk about how to monitor implementations of treated plan, and also because of course you need continuous monitoring. You also need to also document residuals risk and also update the treatment plan if there is an additional controls, if any additional controls are necessary. So that's for clause 8.3. So this is how to implement ISO 27001 clause 7 and clause 8. Just like I've said, it is best that you know how to you know how this thing works, even if you don't have experience in it, and also know what to do in each part, because it might come out in an interview. You will not just be like someone that have not heard about it before, or maybe this is your first time. But when you gain hands-on experience, you'll be able to to understand how to implement it more. So that's all for clause 7 and clause 8. And in my next video, I will be concluding this series with clause 9 and clause 10, and we'll move to another topic. So that's all from my end. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. But I'll be putting out a whole lot of content about GRC, and I hope we stick together. Bye.